Now, one of the things you have to think about when choosing a name for your child is avoiding the possibility of those unfortunate combinations of first and last names. It's one of the things I find humorous. For instance, Anita Mann or Lois Price. One of my favourites is I read recently of a lady named Helen who married a man with the surname Back, Helen Back. Apparently after 10 years of marriage, that became pretty much true for her. You see, names matter. All of the names and the titles for Jesus were chosen by God. God wanted the virgin's baby names to describe why he is the greatest gift he could give to humanity. So in the next 4 posts, we're going to look at the 4 names or the titles that Isaiah announced the virgin's baby would have. We call him Jesus, but he's also a wonderful counselor. Now, most of us realise that Jesus was born into poverty. As a Jew, he was part of a poor and oppressed people in the first century. But even still, being born into an animal shed was no more common in those days as it is today. So one of the crucial things for authenticity's sake, we need to get past the quaint, peaceful manger scenes with well-behaved animals. I've heard that some people, in fact, even like to make their manger scenes smell nice by sprinkling cinnamon and nutmeg on them. If you want to really go for authenticity, then animal dung would be much more realistic for your manger scenes. But really, who wants their lounge room to smell like that? We also know from his 3 years of ministry that he was effectively homeless. In Luke 9:58, Jesus says that he had no place to lay his head. When he died, he was abandoned by most friends. He had no possessions, no reputation. His birth was the pattern of his life. But it is this very weakness that is life-changing for us. Hebrews 4 tells us that he is able to sympathise with us in every way. Hebrews tells us that Jesus sits on a heavenly throne as God himself, but he is no distant ruler. This is a God who became human, who was born in poverty, who knew temptation, rejections, loneliness, hunger and worry. He knows what it is to be us. But Jesus is more than an empathetic friend. The Hebrew word that is translated counselor in Isaiah means one who advises, instructs and guides through an issue with authority. That is, he's not simply an empathetic therapist. Jesus is someone who has the experience to understand what we are going through, the wisdom to work out the solution, and the power to enact it. In Jesus, Isaiah was referring to someone to whom you can bring your worst problem and he can show you the way out. Jesus is saying to you this Christmas, the path of pain, yeah, I've endured it. Loneliness, I knew it. Temptation, I knew that too. Betrayal, loss, heartache, I've walked all of those roads. I can reliably show you the way through them all. He is the wonderful counselor. But the most wonderful thing about Christmas is that he gives us himself. This is far greater than answers to our problems. Who he is better than what he does. Life's greatest discovery is knowing Jesus, knowing that he loves you, knowing his promise to always be with you, knowing his plan to work out everything for the good of those who love him. Knowing Jesus doesn't take away your problems, but it does completely change how you go through them. And so this Christmas in 2022, are you ready to experience the help of the wonderful counselor this year? Amen.